You try harder, you adjust and improve yourself. You analyze what they want so you can give it to them. And yet somehow you still feel like you're failing in your relationship. When you feel like you're constantly trying to meet someone's expectation, life can get exhausting because you have to monitor yourself constantly. Did I say the right thing? Did I respond the right way? Did I disappoint them? Did I do enough? Every interaction becomes a test that you're trying to pass. And the worst part is that the finish line keeps moving. So how can you get free of the prison of feeling like you're constantly failing in your relationship? Well, let's talk about it. Welcome to the Confident Christian Woman podcast, where we tackle questions about things that have been keeping you stuck in unfulfillment, dissatisfaction, or straight up misery. This is where you'll find the help you need to move forward from confusion, fear, or self-doubt into joy, fulfillment, and peace. This is where we become confident Christian women who not only believe, we obey. Now, let's dive in. Someone in our community wrote this. I'm struggling in my relationship with my boyfriend. I keep trying to meet his expectations and I feel like I keep failing. If that resonates with you, whether it's a boyfriend, husband, it doesn't matter what the relationship is. It could be a parent, a sibling, a friend. We need to talk about something critical because on the surface, this sounds like a relationship problem. But in reality, it's very much deeper than that. It's about identity, approval, and the source of your worth. So let's dive into our question for today, which is, what do I do when I feel like I'm always failing in my relationship? Now, I know this dynamic very intimately because many years ago I was in a relationship where I lived in a constant state of performance. I remember hosting a gathering at my house one day. And I mean, like, for the whole day and into the night. I planned the food, the drinks, the games, everything. In fact, I didn't only plan the food and the drinks. I actually made, I cooked. I did everything. And every single person left my house happy. I mean, people were complimenting the food and they were laughing and they were hugging me and telling me thank you for a wonderful time. And when the last person walked out the door, I remember collapsing onto the couch and feeling really satisfied and exhausted. But I wasn't satisfied because I loved hosting, because honestly, I didn't really. Not then. And not even because everyone had a great time. I felt this kind of satisfied exhaustion because I believed that I had finally done everything right. I actually remember thinking there's absolutely nothing that he can criticize about me today. I thought that. I remember thinking that thought. And then I relaxed, which was very rare in that relationship. I can look back now and say that I was very rarely relaxed. But that relaxation that night did not last long because very soon after everybody was gone, my boyfriend started doing what he always did. Piece by piece, he just dismantled the entire day. Why did you say this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you say or do this when that person said or did that thing? And he just kept harping at me. And my body started to tighten up again because I felt to my core in that moment that if he was not satisfied with the mammoth effort that I had poured into that day, and if I had managed to pull it off to a point where everyone else felt that it was successful, then how on earth could anything that I did ever be good enough for this man? And if you have been living in this kind of dynamic, whether it's with your significant other, with a friend or a parent or a sibling or whoever it is, you know what that does to you. You start trying harder. You start picking apart everything in your mind before they can do it out loud. just so you're prepared when they strike. Right? You play conversations in your mind, you anticipate what might upset them, and you adjust yourself constantly. All in the hope that maybe, just maybe this time, you'll finally get it right. But I have a truth for you that is pretty brutal, so brace yourself. You cannot win this game that you're playing. You just simply cannot win. Because the rules can always change. And as long as you keep playing this game, 3 things start to slip through your fingers. At least 3 things. Those 3 things are your peace, your self-worth, and your confidence. And this is why we have to go deeper. When somebody starts to tear you apart, no matter how hard you try to please them and meet some arbitrary standard that they have set up for you, it means that somewhere deep inside of you, a belief is in operation that sounds something like, if I just do this right, then they'll finally approve of me. In other words, you are trying to earn peace and love and approval in this relationship through your performance. And that belief is very destructive, extremely destructive, because what you're doing is abdicating responsibility for your emotional stability to somebody else. You're putting your emotional health and well-being completely into somebody else's hands. Let that penetrate for a second. Now, I'm going to drop a couple of truths on you here, that if you chew on them and understand them, and if you take them in, they will change the dynamic of every single relationship in your life. And I'm not exaggerating, okay? I mean that very literally. So let's go. First, this person has been trying to shape you into the person that they think can make them happy, right? And you have been trying to give them what they want by becoming this woman that they say will make them happy. But both you and them are dead wrong. Both of you are wrong. You are wrong and they're wrong. As it turns out, no one on earth, 0 people on earth can make them happy. It's impossible. Just in the same way that nobody on earth can make you happy. It's a very simple reason. There's a very simple reason for this. And the very simple reason is that you cannot create feelings in another person. You cannot create feelings in another person. You feel like, do you know this saying that true happiness comes from within you? If you've ever heard that, it's true. Your feelings of happiness comes from your thoughts about a thing or a person or whatever it is. It's your thoughts. And that is why you cannot make another person feel happy about anything that you do. It's because their thoughts about what you have done or haven't done, it's their thoughts that cause them to be happy or unhappy. And you can't control their thoughts. I mean, you can try to manipulate their thoughts, but why would you want to manipulate anybody, anything about anybody? Girl, even if this person point blank tells you that they are unhappy because of you and that you're the source of their anger, their discontent, or their unhappiness, do not believe them. I'm sure they 100% believe what they're saying, but it does not make it less of a lie. It's a bunch of baloney. You're not the culprit in this equation, okay? The thoughts that they're choosing to think about you are the culprits in this equation. Hey, if you're listening and thinking, I don't want to miss this kind of encouragement and inspiration every week, then now's the time to hit follow. Because every Monday, I drop a new episode to help you take the next faithful, obedient step in your journey. Okay, let's get back into it. Now, you keep trying to please this person because you love them and you want their unconditional love in return. But just as you cannot make them happy, you also cannot create feelings of love in them. That's another emotion. And as I said, you can't create emotions in people. Their thoughts about you either create a feeling of love in them or don't. So this means that they are 100% in charge of deciding whether or not they love you. So all of the things that you're doing to try to get them to love you enough to be happy with you and stop criticizing you so that you can stop feeling like a failure, it's not going to work. It's not ever going to work. Again, I'm going to say that even if they straight up say that their ability to love you is limited by your actions, do not buy it. They may not know it, but loving you is their decision. So let me recap. You cannot create feelings in another person, not happiness or satisfaction with you, and not love for you. Okay? Their thoughts about you and their thoughts about your actions are what create their feelings for you. Just as your thoughts about them and their actions is what creates your feelings for them. All right. This brings me to my next point, which is this. What if you just decide that all the things that you've been doing to please them are already good enough and you're not a failure? What if you just decide that? You can do that. You get to do that. You are 100% the boss of deciding if your actions are good enough. You get to decide. Their appreciation or their lack of appreciation about your efforts has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them, because they get to decide what they want to think and what they want to feel about the things that you do, just like you get to decide what you want to think and feel about the things that they do. So if you reflect and you decide that you have done an amazing job, not because somebody else approves of what you did, but simply because you just decided, you know what, I did a great job. Then that's the end of the story. That can be the absolute end of the story. So if you are in a relationship where you feel like you're always failing, I have 4 questions for you to ponder and answer for yourself. Bring these questions before God and be honest with yourself. Okay? Let's go. Question number 1. What am I hoping this other person's approval will finally give me? Number 2. What do I believe it says about me when they disapprove of me or disapprove of what I do for them? Number 3. Why do I keep trying to win approval from somebody who doesn't want to give it? Now, stick a pin and pause here for a second. Please do not skip over this question that I have just given you. And don't take it as a rhetorical question, because I hope you know by now. If you've been listening for any length of time, you should know by now. And if this is your first episode, welcome. And now you are about to know that I don't ask rhetorical questions around here. There are no rhetorical questions around here. You are getting something from continuing to enable this dynamic. So what is it? What is it that you're getting from it? And when you answer this question, you might very well find the key to your freedom from this awful feeling dynamic. So I'm going to give you that question again. Do not skip it. Why do I keep trying to win approval from someone who does not want to give it? And question number 4, what am I afraid would happen if I stopped trying to meet their expectations? If you really sit and take the time to use these questions to get to the truth, you will expose the deeper beliefs that you have, that you might not even suspect that you have, that are keeping this painful cycle that you're in continuing. It is what these unacknowledged deeper beliefs that you have are what are keeping this cycle going. So one more thing before we wrap up. Colossians 3 verses 23 to 24 says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. Right now, it might very well be that you are orienting your entire behavior around pleasing this person. But what if you shifted your focus? What if your standard becomes, did I show up in a way that honors God and aligns with the values that God has for me, that He is asking me to live by? And if the answer is yes, then you can go to sleep tonight with your peace intact. If you feel like you constantly fail to meet someone else's expectations, please hear me when I say that the solution is not trying harder. The solution is recognizing the game that you've been playing. You cannot make them happy. You cannot earn their love through your performance. Why would you want to love a love that's based on performance anyway? As soon as you can't perform anymore, that love would collapse like a house of cards. So why would you want that? Why do you want that for yourself? That might be another question you need to sit with and answer. Why is it that you want that for yourself? Now, on the other hand, you can stop putting your peace and your self-worth and your confidence at the mercy of somebody else's opinions and approval. That's nobody's to have in the first place, only God's. Do you see now that you don't have to keep trying to prove your worthiness? To the blood of Jesus, God already says you are worthy. And because He says that you're already worthy, you can show up free, completely yourself, and see what happens. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode encouraged or inspired you, please share it with someone who came to mind as you listened. You never know how much they might need it. See you next time.